Great. This is showing us live on YouTube. I'm just now seeing that we're live also on Facebook. So we'll just give it a couple minutes. For that. All right, perfect. I already see some of you are tuned in with us, Brian and Allison and a few others. If you react to this video or if you start commenting, then we can be able to see who's on here and who's engaged with us. We'll go ahead and get this kicked off. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever it is you are watching this. I know you can be watching it on replay, and we do appreciate you doing that, staying informed on who's seeking office so that you can make the best decision at the poll when you go out there this November. We ask that you hit the share button on this video so others in your network can see that we're live and can also join us and engage with this candidate and learn more about them individually outside of just their campaign page or their doorstep if they had knocked on your individual doors. Now, if you've not already done so, there are two things that I want you to do, and that's to hit the subscribe button on your YouTube channel where we are also streaming this, or here on Facebook. Make sure that you're liking and following the page. That allows you to get timely updates from us, and you can get those alerts when we go live into the future and save me the time of leaving this awkward silence at the start when I'm checking to make sure that everyone's starting to see this broadcast. With that, I want to address a few things. The first is the questions that we have on here are questions that we have pulled from our Government Affairs Committee, from internal. These questions were not shared to the candidate prior to today's session, so they are hearing it for the very first time today. They had no time to practice or prep it. It is designed for us to hear immediately what the response is on these issues and best gauge where they stand on them. The second thing that I want you to be aware of is Senate District 4 used to incorporate, or 24 used to incorporate a large part of Westminster, which after redistricting kind of pushed that part out, but that doesn't mean that a lot of you that are engaged with us as members or tuned in or drive through, live in the surrounding areas aren't affected by this change as well and aren't voting for this candidate, which is why we're looping them in today. So while it does not directly touch our area, it touches our members and our business base, and we wanted you to at least get a chance to hear from those candidates that are seeking the office. All candidates were invited to these one-on-one interviews that we've had. If they are not on here, it's because they chose not to be on here. They were all extended the invitation to attend. And if they did not respond back or were unable to come, then they were not on these one-on-one interviews. You hear me say one-on-one interviews pluralized because there's a video section here on our Facebook page or YouTube channel where you can find all of the videos that we held a couple of weeks ago and get updated on not only county commissioner roles that are out there, state house candidates that we had on here as well, and now here are a few of our Senate ones as well. We did do an in-person forum. If you missed the in-person forum, there was a live stream of that as well, and you can find that here on our Facebook or YouTube channel to your heart's desire. Make sure that you do research the candidates after these broadcasts. Long-winded, that is all out the way. We have a couple of comments that have come through. I see quickly Brian had given us a good afternoon message. Thank you for joining us, Brian. And Anne, I appreciate you also tuning in and tuning on here. Caitlin, I see you as well. Thank you for hopping onto the broadcast with us. And then Laura, you are quite welcome. We very much appreciate you tuning in and hope that you are seeing some value out of this. Please continue to provide comments, any questions, of course. And if we have time at the end of the broadcast to be able to loop in the question for the candidate, we will do so. Keep in mind that if it's not professionally written or if it does attack them in a particular way that's uncomfortable to the eyes to read, then I will not be displaying that for you all. Thank you, Laura. She's so sweet. Look at this. I just had to display this. Thank you. That's so sweet of you. Okay, Courtney, I've met you before, but others have probably not. So let's hear a little bit about you and maybe an introductory statement for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, well, thank you, Westminster Chamber of Commerce and Juliet, for having me today. My name is Courtney Potter, and I'm a mom of young children, an Adams 12 school board member, and I have actively supported the community in a variety of roles, from supporting my law enforcement husband to coaching kids' sports, volunteering in the classroom, or even organizing fundraisers. In the past few years, we have seen things go from hard to harder, and none of us can say that life today is better than it was 4 years ago. And I attribute this to the failures of good intentions. We are now in a position where we have to fix and undo legislation that resulted in harmful consequences to families, such as increased crime, inflation, and failing schools. As your next state senator, I will work hard to build and maintain healthy relationships within the community. And by having those relationships, we can work together as businesses, families, parents, industry leaders, with other legislators, and so on, to ensure that our good intentions result in good outcomes. It is time we vote in new legislators and we reverse the harmful trends and get back on track so that our families and businesses can thrive.
All right. Thank you, Courtney, for that opening statement that you've provided us. We'll now move into some of the questions that we have and allow for you the opportunity to hear, to provide your own comments on it, and for those that are listening in to hear your perspective. This first question reads that some in the legislature have increasingly sought to eliminate Tabor over the last several years, only to then rebrand it and celebrate the Tabor required refunds this year, calling them Colorado Cashback. What is your position on Tabor?
I fully support Tabor. I think it helps rein in government spending. And, I am really disappointed to see so many trying to rebrand this as a Colorado cashback. And there's so much focus and energy going into finding loopholes in the system. And I think if we put the same amount of energy into creating an efficient plan on spending, we would be in a much better place, and we could address things that are dramatically impacting our communities, like crime, homelessness, education, and so forth. And so, additionally, I find it equally as disappointing that when they make this claim that Colorado cashback was anything other than Tabor, that it was just dishonest. And so I will continue to support Tabor, and I think it provides an environment for a flourishing economy. And additionally, as your next state senator, I will lead with integrity, honesty, and transparency, because that's what we deserve.
Well, you touched on something that's actually a part of the next question. So let's move right into that. It reads, around crime rates, says that crime rates across Colorado are exploding, as are fentanyl-related deaths. What can be done at a state level to address these issues?
Well, being married to a police officer, I have a lot of stories about crime affecting businesses and families, and specifically around fentanyl. When I'm out knocking doors in the community, I'm hearing countless stories of people that have lost loved ones, and it doesn't have to be this way. Unfortunately, with the recent policies that have kind of decriminalized fentanyl, we've opened the door here in Colorado to say, hey, come peddle your drugs, and we're not going to hold you accountable. So we need to start holding these criminals accountable that are affecting our businesses, our livelihoods, our kids, and we need to do better, because here in Colorado, that's what we deserve. And part of that does include supporting law enforcement and supporting the mental health crisis that we're faced with here.
Thank you for that answer. I see you, Julie and Nicole. Thank you for both hopping on with us. We are in the midst of asking questions of our candidate, Courtney. So this next question is around homelessness. Homelessness is an increasing problem here in Colorado, and with a struggling economy, there's potential that it will grow even worse. What can the state legislature do to address this problem?
Well, homelessness it's a heartbreaking situation all around, and there isn't really an easy one size fits all fix. And so as a senator, I can help promote collaboration between businesses, families, nonprofit organizations, and government organizations to really help create a solution that will work and address the problem. We can also, kind of take a different approach, and we can support our students in school so that they have the resources needed and they learn the skills to be successful in life, both soft and hard skills. And so that they can go on to have opportunities that prevent them from ending up on the streets. And furthermore, we can make sure that we roll back harmful policies and we push back against other policies that increase the cost of living and make it so difficult for people to live and for developers to kind of build out a healthy community.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that answer, Courtney. Westminster, as you are aware, is served by 3 different school districts and home to many wonderful schools. Westminster is home to several of those that are the leading charter schools in the state. What, if anything, should the state legislature do to ensure that our schools are supported and families have access to the learning opportunities that best meet the individual needs of their children?
Well, as I stated earlier, I serve on the Adams 12 School Board, and our children's education and well-being is extremely important to me. And as a mom, my children have attended a charter school for the majority of their educational time. And so I see firsthand the direct results of having an education that fits the child. And I think that anytime there's a discussion about equitable access, we really need to look at what the demand is for the charter schools. I know in our district in Adams 12, all of our charter programs or our charter schools are on wait lists, which to me as a business person says we need more. And it allows us to really tailor that education to the unique needs of the child. I think that we also need to address parent involvement and transparency and make sure that we bring them to the table and we have real conversations with parents and stakeholders so that we can create an environment that is transparent and honest and truly focused on the well-beings of the kids, not politics. And so again, I fully support our charter schools, and I hope that we don't see legislation moving forward that kind of detracts from where they're at and what they can do with their funding. But we also need to make sure that we're not, we have equitable access to all of our schools with funding, and we look at that budget and we look at the spending and we look at the financial structure to make sure we're not penalizing anybody for not being a traditional district school either.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Dave, hello. Thank you for jumping on with us. This question is regarding committees. If elected, what committees would you like to serve on and why?
Oh boy, honestly, I think I just have to focus on getting through the election. I know that I am running with a slate of amazing candidates across the state. And honestly, I have a lot of experience in a lot of different areas. I grew up in the healthcare industry. I serve on in an educational capacity, a small business owner, and I have a finance background. And so I would say wherever they need me, wherever I can be most productive is where I'm happy to serve.
Excellent. Thank you. And this next question dives a little bit deeper in. It asks you, what would be the first few issues that you would want to address if elected?
I think, like I said earlier on, children are so important to me and their well-being. And so one of the things I want to address right away is the mental health crisis we have. It's affecting not only our kids, but our adults too. And when we have as many kids taking their lives as we do, it's a problem that needs immediate attention. And furthermore, COVID really threw a wrench in everyone's plans, and these kids are not adapting the way that we hoped they would. We saw an article today about how they're so far behind academically, and that's putting a lot of stress and pressure on these kids. And even when we're meeting with principals and educators, we hear over and over again, these kids aren't coping. They're not rebounding like we had hoped. They're stressed out. They're struggling with, a lot of them are struggling with depression. And we really have to kind of fix that and address that so that, again, they grow up to be successful adults that have the tools they need to be successful, and they don't end up homeless or in the system. And then I think another bill is, again, around our fentanyl and law enforcement and supporting our men and women in blue so that they can get the bad guys off the streets and hold them accountable and make sure that they're serving, when they arrest somebody, they go to jail, not if they go to jail, when they go to jail, they serve most, if not all of their jail sentence. And right now, most of them are not. And so we have to find a way to hold criminals accountable. And, that's leading by example and showing our kids, hey, you can't break the law and just keep going on with life. There's consequences. And so I think those are the two biggest ones that I would focus on. And then the third would be getting more money into the classroom for our students.
Absolutely. I see a couple of folks have tuned in with us. Our current board chair, good afternoon. Brian Dice, thank you for hopping on. And Laura agrees with you on the mental health support. Let's move into the next question or comment that we have to address. And that is, how have you worked within the business community?
How have I worked in the business community? Well, I grew up in an entrepreneurial home. And so it was something that I was just raised with, was that business spirit. And so as I went through high school, I was focused on owning a business, and that was my intention. And so we got very involved in different local organizations, on fundraising, on retail management and things in that nature. And then after I graduated high school, I went on and received my cosmetology license and supported my husband in the military at that time. From there, I went on and I received an education in business management and then my MBA with a finance focus. And I was able to use my education there to really help small businesses in the community achieve work-life balance. I don't feel like families should ever be put in a position of going to work or being a parent. They should be able to do both. And a lot of these families were just really struggling with how to make that connection and jump through all the right hoops in the state to be able to do so.
Excellent. So this last question could parlay into a closing statement, or you can answer it separately. It's entirely up to you. The question is, what makes you the ideal candidate as opposed to your the individual that's seeking the similar position as you? Of course, asking you to stick to their qualities and candidacy and nothing else that's irrelevant at the voting booth.
Yes. So I think what really sets me apart is, one, I am just a mom. I was never involved politically before. I never had dreams or goals of running for any kind of set office. And so when I'm in this position, I really take the time to listen to the concerns of the people. I listen to the moms and the business owners and the dads and grandparents to really understand what it is that they want. And we might not always agree, and that's okay. But having those conversations allows me to gain the important perspective of what it is that they want, because a lot of our issues aren't red or blue. They're issues that affect everybody, and we need to focus on healthy solutions in order to move us forward.
Excellent. Do you have any closing statements or remarks that you'd like to make outside of the issues or topics that we've already addressed?
Sure. So again, I just want to thank you guys for having me here and giving me the opportunity to share my vision for our beautiful state. Being a mom, board member, and business owner, having personally knocked thousands of doors in the last few months, my biggest takeaway is this: our community is feeling hopeless. They are discouraged. They are frustrated. And it's time that, like I said earlier, we put our party affiliation aside and we really ask ourselves, is our life better now than it was 4 years ago? And for many, the answer is no. And so as your next state senator, I will not see issues or community members as red or blue, but for what they are, and work together to find solutions that create a better tomorrow. People deserve better, and the problems need answers. And so I'm confident that with new legislators and by restoring balance to our state, that we can fix the problem. We made it through COVID, where we were pulled apart, we were isolated, and now it's time we've come back together and we find a way forward. So when you vote, I am listed second on the ballot. I'm the only woman in the Senate District 24 race. And I ask that you fill in that little bubble next to my name, Courtney Potter, and you vote for change. You can visit my website at CourtneyForColorado.com, and that's spelled out FOR, to learn more, make a contribution to my campaign. But you can also email me and reach out to me personally. I take the time to respond to everybody, like I said, whether we agree or not, and that's at CourtneyForColorado.com. And I also want to take this opportunity to invite you guys to our Fentanyl Safety Forum on Wednesday in Brighton, featuring John Kellner and Barb Kirkmeyer. And if you can't attend, I hope to see you at the Westminster, or the Taste of Westminster, the following week. It's such a great event and I love going, so I'm excited to be going back. And ultimately, the last thing I'll say here is, remember to ask your friends, your neighbors, yourself, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Because life does not have to be this hard, and we can do better.
Thank you so much for that closing statement. And Courtney, you've captured the ways that people can engage with you. Your website, once again, I'll flash it. It's in the comment section. Phone number is also included in the chat, and email. If you have questions or thoughts, you can always reach out to Courtney. Learn more about the candidates by going to their page. These are supposed to be short snippets about them answering particular issues. It does not give you the full picture of who they are and what they've already achieved, accomplished, hopes and dreams that they have. Thank you, Nicole, for tuning in and for that pleasant comment to Courtney. I also see Jamie on here, and appreciate you, Jamie, for tuning in. These videos will be up for you to rewind, rewatch. If you do watch it on replay, give us the hashtag replay. And with that, I want to encourage you to, of course, also go to our website, westminsterchamber.biz, where we'll be uploading this and all the details of the different campaigns. That is also going to be included in the chat for you to do so as well. Courtney, thank you again for being on here. Brian is sharing a quick thank you. He looks forward to seeing you at our taste event. That's on November 3rd. For those of you that don't know, it's November 3rd from 5 o'clock. It is at the Ice Center at the Promenade here in Westminster. Support local, support business, and come out and have a great evening. Courtney, I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon into evening, and thank you again for your service and for seeking this office.
Well, thank you so much.